Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here. Um, Today again in 1987 movie for Berserker, a slasher movie. A slasher movie. It gets 4.4 on IMDb. I know that's not big, but I saw this one before, and back then it got a 5 somewhere. So I'm giving it a 5. So I watched it two times. Once back then when I was looking for all the slasher movies, and then of course just not again for this review. The movie starts out with a older couple getting killed. Basically, they are attacked. What looks like a bear attack, but later we start to think there's more at play. You know. Now, a few days later, a group of youngsters, Mike, Josh, Caddy, Kathy, Shelly, and Christy, and Larry. Yeah, 6 people, right? Six couples arrive at they rented out a cabin. Um, Now, you also have they encounter this your typical bromances. You know, your broskies. Hey, dude, give me a beer. Throw me a beer. Bear me, dude. Bear me. Yeah, so those kind of characters. Most of them. Larry's a little bit more. He's the nerd of the group, but also the nice guy. Uh, Josh is the one who's constantly on everybody's back. Larry has a girlfriend. I think it's Kathy, and Mike is a little bit the jock type. He's together with Shelly. There's at some point an extreme, vivid sex scene between Mike and Shelly, where you see the boobs and an airplane strip of towards her entrance of the VJJ. uh, but the thing is, okay, so they get lost. They so before this all happens, Larry told about the area that apparently Vikings used to rule that area, and they say that the ones that are the 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 relatives, the ain't the not the relative the that are still the relatives of the timeline of these Vikings were are I mean they can be possessed by these Viking spirits that live on, but the Vikings had like a special forces unit which they call beserkers, and these were just completely mad. They just went into war. They killed bears with their bare hands. I mean, and they took the snout of the bear, put it on their face with the teeth, so they could bite you. And they cut off the hands and made like claw weapons out of it. But they became so mad that even the regular Vikings couldn't control them anymore, so they were put in chains, and that's it. But to be honest, if I'm not the best in history, but first of all, Vikings, I don't think they ever reached the continent of the USA. Second of all, if they would, they would stay nearby shore, because the thing that the Vikings had were boats. They had a lot of flagship boats, but the I mean, if you and I'm thinking they are coming. Most of the Vikings came from Iceland, Norway. You had, paddling the entire time. These guys were probably, and it wasn't a big. It was big enough to hold this. Let's say 10 Vikings here, 10 Vikings there. One guy in the middle doing thump, and every thump you do the paddling. So there wasn't a lot of, maybe they had a little bit of food storage somewhere, but they usually, what they did was they invaded, they killed everybody, they looted, they pillaged and raped, and then after 2 days they left because they know the army of the country they invaded were sending. I mean, the lord of the country they invaded were sending an army on horses, knights, basically, and they escaped. Now, the Vikings were known to be great fighters because they never really wanted to put on armor because that did make them weaker for a stab, but they were faster because knighted armors were slower. They were harder to kill, of course, because of all the armor. And a mounted on a horse knight is very dangerous. But so that's story. Now these forests, the, before they arrive there, they get Sheriff Hill, and he puts him. He says he stops the car, and because of littering, the guy just throws a beer can out of the car, and then he stops him. Have you been drinking? The guy, no sir. He's the guy who constantly says, "Bear me, come on, bear me." Oh, I mean, in the '80s, it's almost a fact that every driver just was drinking their Coors beer or their Budweiser or whatever behind the steering wheel, and nobody really said anything about it. Now the sheriff knew he was drunk as a skunk, but he was actually wanting to fine him for the littering because they don't like littering there. It's open nature, it's conserved, the animal life. But eventually he doesn't give them a ticket. He says, "Be careful because there are a lot of bears and mountain lions, so be careful." So, then we go to that scene where Mike and Shelly. So Chrissy has to pee. The cabin is really just some planks with a mattress on. Usually only for 2 people, 2 couples, and that's it. A couple has to sleep on the ground. They don't have any toilet. They don't showering. They don't have nothing, and they wanted to stay there for a week. Okay. Don't get me wrong. If you're the adventurous type, I still want a little bit of luxury. If that cabin would have a toilet, working toilet, and a shower, and something to cook on, that was, for me, that would be good for a week, right? So I'm not that kind of luxury guy, but she had. So what does she do? Instead of just walking 50 feet away or something from the cabin, she walks some few kilometers, like a mile or something, or maybe even long, away from the cabin. It's a very atmospheric tone because the forest, it's all over the the fog is all over the forest, so you have this atmospheric tone. At some points you can't see your arm, so thick. She decides to pee there, and then she decides to get back, and she can't find her way back. So why the fuck did you go so far to pee? you're in no man's land. It's basically no one. And then Josh asks Mike and Shelly to go and look for Christy, and they say okay. They find Christy like this immediately. Now, what normally should happen is, let's bring her back to the cabin, right? But they said you have to go there and there and there, so they can have sex or a little wildlife. And they can make a nature movie, right? Having sex, and it's that so typical '80s vivid sex scene, like her hair is doing this, and then she's riding, and then the guy's doing. So, uh, but they decide to have sex like also miles away from the camp, and Christy can't find her way back. So they went looking for Christy instead of walking with her to the camp and have sex like again 50 feet from the camp. Nobody would bother you. But no, they have to have sex like 2 miles from the camp. Okay, and you see multiple scenes of a bear lurking around, big ass bear. Then the owner of these campsites is called Pappy. He's the only known name I know. Is I think he played in a few Carpenter movies. George Buck Flower, but he's the friend of the sheriff. They play some chess. They're saying, "Okay, you've got a few new youngsters camping." Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, but yeah, he has that tone of the old country. He says, "I'm guessing Norway or Iceland." Now, at that moment, I knew, okay, what's going on. Okay, I knew what's going on. This is gonna be a spoiler review from now on. Okay, so if you wanna drop it and go to the movie, I do recommend one watch. It's still a fun one. Um, a Viking killer. I mean, that's something original. Never seen that. But I'm gonna talk spoilers from now on, so be warned. So they're talking about this and that, and the sheriff is going to wants to go to their house, but at that time, everybody left. Everybody's looking for everybody. Uh, Josh, Shelly, and so Josh, Kathy, and Larry, they're looking for the rest, and then Mike is looking for his girlfriend after they had sex, and apparently she gets killed with Christy by the beserker. Now, berserker, the original word is actually just berserk, which is actually the meaning of the word is going mad, going super angry. I believe if you know the mountain of Game of Thrones, when he's doing strongman games, he always yells berserk to get that, oof, oof, oof on you. But they're dead, so they're attacked by the berserker. And Mike, and the thing about Mike is, he's like, oh, where the hell can we go? Can we take one of the jeeps? The, can we take your pickup, maybe? Or he's, it takes literally 30 seconds to get over his dead girlfriend. That she said, I'm in love with you, and what we're gonna do in the future, maybe have some kids. And he was like, and it's always those guys that don't want to say I love you, don't want to see the future. They're just looking for a hookup that maybe lasts for a few months, and then get the fuck away here, bitch. It's so and then the guy is like 30 seconds he's over her. He's he's the one who basically takes wants to take the pickup, but the pickup has been destroyed by the berserker, and eventually he takes they had a quad with them, you know. Now Larry, in the meantime, they want to go back to the cabin, but he breaks his leg. Now Josh once does something not shitty for once, and he says, "I'm gonna stay here with Larry because he can't walk all the way back to the cabin." So they say to Kathy, "Go back to the cabin and lock yourself in." So she goes back to the cabin. Personally, if I was Kathy, I wanted to stay with your boyfriend because you don't know what's happening. I mean, people are dying. It's obviously there's something out there. Now, Josh gets attacked, of course, by this unseen killer at that point, but then we see the killer. It's, of course, a Viking with this bear robe and a bear snout and the claws. Very muscular dude. And then a bear comes in the picture. The bear that we've been seeing all this time. So when Larry was reading about the berserkers, they liked to attack bears. So he takes off his claw hands, his entire attire. The only thing that he keeps is the snout. He goes towards the bear and he starts to wrestle the bear, try to kill the bear. But eventually the bear is too strong for him and slices him open multiple times, bites him, and eventually he has to run away. He has to run away. And he's standing in front of Larry the bear, and he's like, oof, he's going away. It's almost like this bear was there to protect these young kids from this berserker guy, from this Viking. Like I said, so the sheriff, Pappy, also he also went to look for the cabin to see what's going on, but when Mike arrives, like I said, their pickup was messed with. Then Pappy's pickup is there, but his keys are gone. But he has a quad, so he takes the quad. He finds a sheriff on the open road, and then what happens is Josh is still alive but badly wounded. Larry's still alive, and his girlfriend in the cabin is also still alive, Kathy, right? So at some point, the sheriff arrives at the side of the cabin with Mike, Kathy, and they see the berserker standing there in the brushes. And what happens is it's like he can't. He's doing this for the sun. It's like he can't. I'm thinking he's more of a night creature in a way. A night person who wants to kill people during night, and in the day he may be something else, which I immediately knew when the sheriff was playing chess with Pappy, and then with the explanation of the book, the closest relative they still have will be possessed. So what happens? What happens is the sheriff takes a shotgun, goes towards the berserker. He's thinking about it. He's looking like this, and he doesn't want to. And they're all shoot him, he can. And the berserker is like coming slowly towards him, but he's like, eventually he shoots him in the heart. He falls down, and then he looks away and looks back, and it's Pappy. So the entire time it was Pappy. And I knew this. I knew this right away that Pappy is the Viking. He was the berserker. You know, he went to the old country. He's he was the only one that was from that area, from Norway or Iceland. So yeah, 100% sure. You know, it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. You get some mostly slash kills. You know, there's also I believe, a throat cut out, and but the most kills are slash kills. You know, like 3 slashes in a row, slash in the neck, and so on. But hey, it's entertaining. It's a fun watch. Give it a watch. I recommend it. 5 out of 10. If you want to see some real Viking stuff, here you go. Let them do that, right? So see you later, and subscribe to the channel, and we can have more horror fun in the future, right? Bye bye. Berserk.